Hey guys, tonight we are traveling back to the sun-drenched hills and ancient city-states of classical Greece. We're going to be exploring the world of one of history's most renowned fighting men, the hoplite warrior. We'll see the gleaming bronze, the bristling spears, and the great, disciplined shield wall of the phalanx. But we're going to push past the heroic statues and the philosophical dialogues to uncover the terrible, hidden secrets of what it was actually like to be a Greek soldier. This is a story of the grim reality of ancient warfare. A world of intense fear, brutal, close-quarters combat, and the psychological burden placed on a man who was, at heart, not a soldier, but a farmer. And let's be honest, you, with your modern sensibilities, would make a terrible hoplite. The central pillar of Greek warfare was the phalanx, a formation that required you to stand shoulder to shoulder with your neighbors and push, for your life, against another group of men doing the same thing. You, who might get a bit antsy when someone stands too close to you in a checkout line, would find the claustrophobic, terrifying intimacy of the shield wall to be a significant personal challenge. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's a simple, zero-cost way to show your support, and it helps me continue to build this library of historical stories for you. And, as always, I'd love to see where you are all listening from tonight. Please post your city, country, and local time in the comments. It's a wonderful thing to see our global community gathering. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You are not a soldier. This is the first and most important thing to understand. You are a farmer. Your world is a small plot of land in the rolling hills outside the walls of your city-state. Your polis. It might be Thebes, or Corinth, or Argos. Your life is governed by the rhythm of the olive harvest and the grape harvest. Your hands are calloused from the plow, not the sword. Your daily concerns are the threat of a drought, the health of your goats, and the price of pottery in the marketplace. You are also a citizen. You have a voice in the assembly. The ecclesia. You participate in the great religious festivals. You are a part of a vibrant, argumentative, and proud community. Your life is one of peace, work, and civic duty, and then, one day, the world changes. A dispute with a neighboring city-state. Your rivals just over the mountains has boiled over. Perhaps it is a quarrel over a strip of borderland, a conflict over trade routes, or a matter of wounded civic pride. The war horn sounds in your city's agora. A herald walks through the streets, his voice loud and clear, calling all citizens to an emergency meeting of the assembly. You leave your fields and hurry into the city. You gather with thousands of your fellow citizens in the great open-air meeting place. The mood is tense, angry. You listen as the generals, the strategoi, make their speeches. They speak of the insults you have suffered, of the threat to your city's honor. They speak of the need for war. A great debate erupts. Some speak for caution, for diplomacy, but the blood is up. The patriotic fervor is a powerful, intoxicating force. The question is put to a vote, and you, along with the majority of your fellow citizens, raise your hand for war. Your city has democratically voted to go to war with the next town over. Because their goats have been looking at your goats funny, it's great to have a say in your government's foreign policy. The decision is made. A herald proclaims it. All able-bodied men of the hoplite class, those citizens with enough wealth to afford their own armor, are to present themselves, fully equipped. In 3 days' time, a cold knot of fear forms in your stomach. Replacing the hot flush of patriotic anger, it has happened. You must go to war. This is not a matter for a professional. Standing army in your world, with the great exception of the strange and terrifying Spartans. There is no such thing. This is a common historical fact of your time. Warfare is the business of the citizen. When the city calls, the farmer, the potter, the stonemason. They must all put down their tools, pick up their shields and spears, and become soldiers. You return to your small farmhouse. The news has already reached your wife. She looks at you, her face pale, her eyes wide with the fear she is trying to hide. You must tell your children that you are going away. You do not tell them you are going to fight. To kill? You tell them you're going to march with the other men of the city to protect your home. Now begins the frantic 3-day process of transforming yourself from a farmer into a warrior. Your first task is to retrieve your equipment, your panoply. The suit of bronze armor that is the symbol of your status as a citizen solely leaving. It is your single most expensive possession, worth more than your ox and your entire year's harvest combined. It has been passed down from your father, who fought in it before you. You go to the large wooden chest where it is kept, wrapped in linen and oil to protect it from the damp. And you take it out, piece by heavy, intimidating piece, the great bronze helmet, the sculpted breastplate, the greaves to protect your shins, and the shield, the great, round, bowl-shaped shield, the aspis, 3 feet across, made of wood and covered in a sheathing of bronze. It is heavy, awkward, and it is the piece of equipment upon which your very life will depend. The city has a very efficient system for raising an army. It involves every adult male citizen suddenly dropping what they're doing and trying to remember where they left their spear, while you clean and prepare your armor. Your mind is a churn of anxieties. This war will be a massive disruption to your life. It is late summer. The grapes on your vines are heavy, almost ready for harvest. The olives will need picking in a month. Who will do this work while you're gone, if the campaign lasts too long? Your entire year's income, your family's sustenance for the coming winter, could rot on the vine. And there is the deeper fear. You are a farmer. You are trained in the arts of peace. Yes, you have participated in the mandatory civic training. You know how to hold a spear, how to stand in the battle line. But you are not a professional killer like a Spartan. The men you are about to face are the same. They are farmers and potters from the city over the hill. Men exactly like you. This is not a war against a foreign, barbarian invader. It is a war against your neighbors. A kind of terrible, violent, and deadly family dispute. This is the strange and obscure reality of your warfare. Your world is tiny. The enemy city is perhaps 20 miles away. A 2-day march. You have probably been there on a market day. You know its streets. And now you are marching to kill its men. Men who look and speak and pray to the same gods as you. Historians will one day debate the true cause of this constant internecine warfare. Was it really about honor and civic pride, or was it, at its root, a brutal competition for the most basic and precious resource in your rocky, mountainous land, good, flat, arable farmland? You do not know. You only know that the assembly has voted, the heralds have called, and you must answer. The 3rd day arrives. You have prepared your armor. Your wife has packed you a simple soldier's ration, a bag of barley, a piece of hard, salty cheese, a few dried figs, and an onion. You say your goodbyes. You kiss your wife. You hold your children. You promise you will return. It is a promise you do not know if you can keep. You take up your great, heavy shield and your 8-foot spear, and you walk out of your home, away from your fields, and you join the stream of other men, your neighbors, all marching towards the assembly point outside the city gates. You look at their faces. They are blacksmiths, stonemasons, potters, farmers, and today, they are all soldiers. You are no longer just a citizen. You are a hoplite. The transformation has begun, and your terrible, brutal, and glorious education in the realities of ancient Greek warfare is about to commence. The day has come. You stand with the other citizen soldiers of your polis in the dusty fields outside the city gates. The air is filled with the nervous energy of men who, just days ago, were potters farmers, and stonemasons, and are now about to become a single, unified instrument of war. But before you can become a part of the great battle line, you must first encase yourself in your own personal prison of bronze. You must don the panoply. You have brought your equipment with you from home. Carried in a large sack, it is your own property, your family's most valuable possession after your small plot of land. It is what separates you, a man of the hoplite class, from the poorer citizens who will fight as skirmishers with javelins or slings. Your armor is the symbol of your status and your terrible civic duty. The process of arming is a slow, deliberate ritual, and you need help to do it. Your younger brother, who is not yet old enough for military service, has accompanied you to act as your squire for the day. He helps you lay out the pieces on a cloth on the ground. First, you strip down to your simple linen tunic, the chiton. Then begins the process of encasing yourself in bronze. The first pieces are the greaves, the namids. They are beautifully made, hammered from a single sheet of bronze, sculpted to the shape of your shins and calves. They are not held on with straps. They are custom fitted, and you spring them open slightly and clip them onto your legs, where the natural tension of the metal holds them in place. They are unpadded. As you walk, you can already feel the hard, bronze edges beginning to chafe the skin behind your knees. Next is the breastplate, the thorax. Yours is an older style, a belle cuirasse, a solid, sculpted piece of bronze that covers your entire torso. Front and back, it is heavy, perhaps 30 pounds on its own. Your brother helps you lift it over your head. It settles onto your shoulders with a great, heavy thud. You feel its weight compressing your chest, making each breath a conscious effort. It is like being hugged by a cold, unforgiving God. In the growing heat of the Greek morning, the bronze already begins to feel warm. You know that in a few hours. Under the full sun, it will become a personal oven, baking you in your own sweat. Now comes the most transformative and most claustrophobic piece of your equipment, the helmet, the Kranos. You have a Corinthian helmet, the classic helmet of the hoplite. It is a masterpiece of the bronzesmith's art, a single, seamless piece of bronze that covers your entire head, neck, and face. Your brother helps you put it on, and the world disappears. The moment the heavy, bronze bucket settles over your head, your senses are assaulted and then suppressed. Your vision is suddenly constricted to the two small, almond-shaped eye holes and the narrow horizontal slit for your mouth. Your peripheral vision is gone completely. You can no longer see the man standing next to you unless you turn your entire head. It is like looking at the world through a keyhole. And the sound, the familiar sounds of the bustling army camp, the shouts of men. The stamping of horses are instantly gone, replaced by a dull, muffled, underwater roaring. The only sound that is clear is the sound of your own breathing, loud and ragged in the enclosed space, echoing back at you. The helmet is a small, personal, sensory deprivation chamber. It is profoundly isolating. It makes you feel both invulnerable and terrifyingly alone. The Corinthian helmet is a masterpiece of defensive design. It ensures that no enemy can harm your head. It also ensures that you cannot hear any warnings from your friends, see an enemy approaching from the side, or breathe comfortably. It's all about trade-offs. You are now a creature of bronze. Your senses dulled, your movements restricted. But you are not yet a hoplite. The final, most important piece of your identity is your shield. It is the aspis, or the hoplon, the great, round shield that gives your warrior class its name. It is a massive thing, 3 feet in diameter, made of a core of thick wood and covered with a facing of gleaming, polished bronze. It weighs nearly 20 pounds. To hold it is to understand the nature of your warfare. This is the great, obscure, and terrible secret of your equipment. The shield is not designed for personal, individual combat. It is not held by a single handle in the center, which would allow you to move it around easily. Instead, it has a unique and demanding grip. In the center is a bronze armband, the porpax, through which you slide your entire left forearm up to the elbow. You then grip a leather strap, the anti-labe, located near the rim of the shield. This design distributes the immense weight of the shield across your entire forearm, making it possible to hold for long periods. But it also makes it incredibly awkward and unwieldy. You cannot easily swing it to one side or the other. It is designed to be held in one position, and one position only straight ahead. You slide your arm into the porpax and grip the anti-labe. You lift the great shield. Its weight is a familiar, aching burden on your left arm and shoulder. You understand its purpose. This shield, with its great size, protects not just your own body, but, crucially, it covers the unshielded right side of the man standing to your left. Your shield is his protection. His shield is your protection. It is a piece of equipment designed not for a solitary hero, but for a single, unified, interlocking wall of men. It is the great foundational tool of the phalanx. Finally, your brother hands you your weapons. Your primary weapon is the dory, an 8-foot spear of ash wood with a sharp iron, leaf-shaped head and a bronze butt spike called a sworder. Tucked into your belt is your secondary weapon, the xyphos, a short, double-edged sword, to be used only if your spear breaks or if the battle dissolves into a chaotic close quarters brawl. You are now fully armed. You are a hoplite. The total weight of your panoply is nearly 70 pounds, more than a third of your own body weight. You are a walking tank of bronze and wood. You feel powerful. Yes, but you also feel incredibly heavy, slow, and clumsy. Getting dressed for battle is a fun process that takes about half an hour and leaves you barely able to walk. You feel less like a heroic warrior and more like a heavily armed turtle that's about to have a very bad day. Historians will one day debate the relationship between your equipment and your tactics. Did the heavy, cumbersome nature of your armor, the restricted vision of your helmet, and the specific design of your shield necessitate the head-on, brutal, shoving match of the phalanx? Or was it the other way around? Did the Greek preference for a single, decisive, close-order battle drive the evolution of this specific, highly specialized set of equipment? You do not know. You only know the crushing weight on your shoulders, the chafing of the greaves on your legs, and the narrow, muffled world you now inhabit inside your helmet. You take your designated place in the forming ranks. You are in the third rank of your tribe's contingent. You stand shoulder to shoulder with your neighbors, a potter on your right, another farmer on your left. You can smell the garlic on their breath, the nervous sweat of their bodies. You are no longer an individual. You are a single, anonymous, bronze-plated cell in the great, terrifying organism of the phalanx. The misery of the armor is a shared misery, a prelude to the shared danger you are all about to face together. You are fully encased in 70 pounds of hot, heavy, and unforgiving bronze. The world is a narrow, muffled, and intimidating slit in front of your eyes. You have been transformed from a farmer into a walking instrument of war. Now, you must take your place in the great machine that will deliver that war. You must become a part of the phalanx. You find your designated place in the great assembling army. You belong to the contingent from your tribe. The file. Within that contingent, you are in a smaller company, a lokos, made up of men from your own district, your own neighborhood. The men you are about to fight and die with are not strangers. They are your neighbors. The man who stands to your right is Lycomedes. The potter whose kiln is just down the lane from your farm. The man to your left is Damon, another farmer whose land borders your own. You have known these men your entire life. You have shared wine with them. You have watched your children play together, and today, your life will depend on their courage, and theirs will depend on yours. The formation assembles with a practiced, if slightly clumsy, discipline. This is the great hoplite phalanx, the most formidable military formation in your world. It is not a loose collection of individual warriors. It is a single, solid, rectangular mass of men and shields. A human battering ram. Your phalanx today is formed 8 ranks deep. You are in the 3rd rank, and you are packed in so tightly it is almost difficult to breathe. This is the central, claustrophobic reality of your new world. The standard spacing is 3 feet per man. You're great. 3-foot-wide aspis. Your shield is held on your left arm. Its edge presses against the back of the shield of the man to your right. Your own body is pressed shoulder to shoulder with Damon on your left and like comedies on your right. You cannot turn. You cannot move freely. You are a single, tightly packed brick in a great living wall of men. The phalanx is a great formation for team building. You get to know your neighbor, the potter from down the street, very intimately. You know what he had for breakfast from his breath, and you can feel his nervous sweat through your armor. The sensory experience is overwhelming. Your vision, already a narrow slit through your Corinthian helmet, is now almost completely obscured by the back of the man in front of you. You see only his bronze-clad back, the horsehair crest of his helmet, and the top of his shield. The sounds are muffled by your helmet, a confusing symphony of the shuffling of thousands of feet on the dusty ground, the constant, low jangling of bronze armor and weapons, and the low, nervous murmur of the men around you, some of them whispering quiet prayers. And the smell. The smell inside the phalanx is the smell of fear. It is the close, sour, and pungent smell of 1,000 nervous, sweating men, packed together under a hot sun in heavy armor. You stand there, waiting. This is the most difficult part. The waiting. The enemy phalanx is assembling on the other side of the field, a distant, glittering line of bronze. Just like your own. They are a mirror image of you, another city-state of farmers and craftsmen who have been called from their homes to do this terrible work. You feel the immense psychological pressure of the formation. You are not just an individual fighter. Your courage is a collective property. You are held in place by the physical press of the men around you. Even if your own personal courage were to fail, to turn and run would be a physical impossibility. You would have to fight your way out through the 5 ranks of your own men standing behind you. And that is their job. The men in the ranks behind you are not just there to replace the fallen in the front. Their primary job is to push. When the 2 great shield walls meet, the battle will become a monstrous, grinding, shoving match. The othismos and the weight and the forward pressure of the rear ranks are what will give your phalanx the momentum to, hopefully, break the enemy's line. The men behind you are your support, but they are also your jailers, ensuring that there is no retreat. The genius of the phalanx is that you can't run away, even if you want to. The 7 ranks of guys behind you are very insistent that you keep moving forward. It's a very motivational system. The strength of the phalanx is its cohesion. Its greatest weakness is a gap in the line. You know that if a single man in the front rank falters, if he stumbles or loses his nerve, he creates a hole. And that hole is like a crack in a great earthen dam. The enemy will pour into that gap, attacking the now exposed, unshielded right sides of the men next to it, and the entire formation can unravel and collapse in a matter of moments. And so, you look at Damon and Lycomedes, and you pray that they will be brave, and you know that they are looking at you, and praying the same thing. It is a system of mutual, terrified dependence. Historians will one day debate the precise mechanics of this combat. Was the othismos a literal, physical, rugby-style scrum? A pure contest of mass and brute force? Or was the fighting more of a series of individual spear thrusts over and under the interlocking shields? With the push being more of a metaphor for the psychological pressure and forward momentum, The ancient writers are ambiguous. But you, standing here, feeling the solid weight of the man behind you pressing into your own back, have a strong suspicion that the pushing will be very, very real. You look to the far right end of your battle line. You see the man in the most dangerous position in the entire phalanx. He is the man at the end of the front rank. His right side, the side of his sword arm, is completely exposed, unprotected by a neighbor's shield. This position of extreme honor and extreme danger is usually held by one of the city's most experienced warriors. You are glad it is not you. The minutes stretch into an hour. The sun climbs higher, and the heat inside your bronze armor becomes intense. You wait for the generals, the strategoi, to finish their pre-battle rituals. You see them at the front of the army, gathered around a small, temporary altar. A priest is performing a sacrifice, a goat or a sheep. He is examining the animal's liver, looking for omens from the gods. The fate of your entire city, the lives of thousands of men, now rests on the interpretation of the color and texture of a goat's liver. It's a very scientific approach to military strategy. Finally, the omens are declared favorable. A great cheer goes up from the ranks. The tension is about to break. A single flute player begins a high, clear, and piercing tune. It is the marching rhythm. Then, the signal is given. The paean, the great war hymn to the god of battle, begins. You open your mouth, and your voice joins the thousands of others in a single, roaring and terrifying chant. It is a prayer. It is a war cry. It is a way of psyching yourselves up for the terrible work to come. And then the order is shouted down the line, Alala forward. The man in front of you takes a step. The entire great 8,000-man shield wall lurches into motion. It begins to walk, slowly and deliberately at first, then picking up speed. Across the flat, dusty plain that separates you from your enemy, you grip your spear, you brace your shield. The terrible music of the advance has begun, and you are marching, shoulder to shoulder with your neighbors, towards the moment of impact, the great, bloody, and terrifying crash that will decide everything. The final sacrifice has been made. The goat's liver was deemed favorable by the priests. A great, ragged cheer has gone up from the thousands of men standing in the ranks. The gods are with you. Or so they say. Now, all that is left is the long walk into the arms of death. You stand in the third rank of the phalanx, a single, anonymous bronze cell in the great, living wall of your city-state, and you begin to march. The advance is not a frantic, screaming charge. Not at first. It is a slow, deliberate, and terrifyingly purposeful walk. The high, clear, and strangely genre-tist. Rhythmic tune of the aulos, a double reed pipe played by musicians in the rear. Keeps the time. Your left foot steps forward, then your right. You move in perfect, disciplined unison with the thousands of other men in your formation. The sound of your army on the move is a terrible music. It is the rhythmic thump, thump, thump of 8,000 bronze-greaved legs marching as one. It is the low, constant, jingling clatter of your armor, the sound of 1,000 small bells of death. And it is the sound of your own voice, joining with the others in the roaring. Continuous chant of the paean, the great hymn to the gods of war. Your world has shrunk to the small, claustrophobic space of your position in the phalanx. Your vision, already a narrow slit through your Corinthian helmet, is dominated by the broad, bronze-sheathed back of the man in front of you. You focus on his movements, on matching his stride, on keeping the prescribed 3-foot distance. Your shield, your great aspis, is held high, its rim resting on your left shoulder to take some of its immense weight. Your spear, the 8-foot dory, is held upright for now, part of the great, bristling forest of spear points that rises from your formation. You are marching into battle to the cheerful, high-pitched sound of a flute. It's a surprisingly jaunty soundtrack for what's about to be a horrific, bloody scrum. You look ahead, through the small gaps between the men in the ranks before you, and you watch as the enemy phalanx, which was once a distant, shimmering line of bronze on the far side of the plain, grows steadily, terrifyingly, larger. At first, they are a single, unified entity, but as you draw closer, the line resolves itself into individual men. You can see the horsehair crests on their helmets. You can see the terrible painted devices on their shields. This is the obscure, but powerful, psychological warfare of your time. Their shields are not blank. Each one is a canvas for a terrifying image designed to break your nerve. You see the great, white, leering eyes of a gorgon's head, designed to turn your courage to stone. You see a hissing snake, a snarling lion, a great black bull. You are not just marching against a line of men, you are marching against a line of monsters. With every step, the fear inside you grows. It is a cold, metallic taste in your mouth. Your hands, gripping your spear shaft and the leather anti-labe of your shield, are slick with sweat. Your mouth is as dry as dust. You try to keep shouting the paean, but your throat is tight and your voice is a raw croak. You look at the man next to you. Laskamedes the potter. His face is hidden behind his own helmet, but you can see in the tense set of his shoulders, in the white-knuckled grip on his spear, the same terror that you are feeling. You are all farmers, and potters, and craftsmen. You are not professional killers like the Spartans. You are ordinary men, fathers and husbands, marching to do an extraordinary and terrible thing. Historians will one day debate the discipline of this moment. They will question whether an army of citizen militia could truly advance in a single, perfect, unbroken line. They will argue that the reality was likely a messier, more ragged affair, with the line constantly struggling to reform, to maintain its cohesion over the uneven ground. But you know that the ideal, the perfect wall of shields and spears, is what you are striving for. The skill of your leaders and the discipline of your men is measured by your ability to arrive at the enemy line not as a disorganized mob, but as a single, unified, crushing force. The distance is closing. You are now 200 yards away. You can hear the sound of their paean now, a great roaring wave of sound washing over you, a challenge to your own. You can hear the sound of their flute player, its high-pitched tune estrange, dissonant harmony with your own. 100 yards. The generals give the command. The flute's rhythm quickens. The walk becomes a trot. The forest of spears is lowered from the vertical to the horizontal. You lower your own great dory, passing it through the small port in your shield, its iron head now pointing directly at the enemy. The shield is no longer resting on your shoulder. You now hold its full, dead weight on your left arm, a burning, aching strain. 50 yards, the trot becomes a run, or rather, a heavy, lumbering, and terrifying charge. You are now running in 70 pounds of bronze, your breath coming in ragged, desperate gasps inside your hot, stuffy helmet. The sound of your own army is a single, deafening, continuous roar, alala, alala, alala. Your world narrows to a single point. You are no longer aware of the men beside you. You are no longer aware of the sky or the ground. Your entire consciousness is focused on the man in the enemy line directly in front of you. He is your target. You can see the eye slits of his helmet. You can see the device on his shield. He is a man, just like you. And in a few seconds, you will try to drive the 8-foot spear in your hands through his body. And he will be trying to do the exact same thing to you. The goal of the war chant is to get yourself so hyped up and full of aggressive energy that you temporarily forget that you are a farmer who is about to run headfirst into a wall of pointy objects. The last few seconds seem to stretch into an eternity. The world becomes a slow-motion nightmare. You see the gleaming points of 1,000 enemy spears. You see the wall of bronze shields, a solid, unbreachable barrier. You brace yourself for the impact. This is the moment your entire life has led to. The moment you will prove yourself a hero or a coward. The moment you will live or die. And then, with a sound like the world breaking, a great splintering, grinding crash of wood on wood, of bronze on bronze, of flesh on flesh, the two great walls of men collide. The world explodes. The moment of impact is not a clean clash of swords, but a brutal, jarring, and profoundly unheroic collision of two great, living walls of flesh and bronze. The sound is a deafening, splintering crunch that runs through the entire battle line. The front rank of your phalanx smashes into the front rank of theirs, and the forward momentum of your charge comes to a dead, shuddering halt. You are in the third rank, and the impact travels back to you like a shockwave. You are thrown forward, your face smashing into the bronze-backed shield of the man in front of you. At the same time, the man behind you, his own momentum unchecked, crashes into your back. You are now a compressed, compacted part of a monstrous, 10-ton scrum. The battle has entered its most brutal and physically demanding phase. You are now in the othismos, the great push of shields. This is the terrible secret heart of hoplite warfare. It is not about elegant duels or individual prowess. It is a grinding, suffocating, and utterly exhausting contest of pure, collective, brute force. Your primary job now is not to fight, but to push. You brace your great, heavy shield against the back of the man in front of you. You plant your feet in the churned up, dusty earth, and you push with every ounce of strength your body possesses. Your legs strain until your thigh muscles feel as if they are on fire. The man behind you is doing the same, his shield pressing hard into your own back, his weight adding to yours. The 5 ranks of men behind you are all doing the same. Their collective force a great, irresistible, human wave, all focused on this simple goal to push the other phalanx backwards until it breaks. The core of Greek military strategy is a tactic known as the murderous group hug. The goal is to push the other group of men backwards until they fall over, and then stab them. It's very sophisticated. The pressure is unimaginable. It is a constant, crushing force from both the front and the back. It feels as if you are being slowly, systematically squeezed to death. The air is driven from your lungs. You try to take a breath, but the weight on your chest and back is too great. You can only take short, shallow, desperate gasps inside your hot, claustrophobic helmet. The heat is a new kind of hell. The sun beats down on the acres of bronze, turning the battlefield into a great oven inside your helmet, your own hot. Panicked breath has turned the air into a suffocating, moist fog. Sweat pours down your face. Stinging your eyes, you feel a wave of dizziness. But there is nowhere to fall. The sheer press of the bodies around you holds you upright. You can see almost nothing. Your world is the sweaty, straining back of your neighbor, the man in front of you. Through the small gaps, you can catch fleeting, terrifying glimpses of the front rank. You see the forest of spears, your own and the enemy's, locked together. You see a spear shaft snap, its owner crying out. You see a man in your own front rank stumble and go down. A dark red flower blooming on his chest where an enemy spear point has found a gap. His body is not carried away. There is no room. He is simply trampled underfoot by the pressing ranks behind him, his corpse becoming just another obstacle on the bloody, churnin' ground. The man from the second rank, his face a grim mask, immediately steps forward to fill the gap in the line. The shield wall must remain unbroken, while you and the other men in the rear ranks are the engine of the push. The men in the front 2 ranks are engaged in the deadly, intimate work of killing. Their long spears are gone, shattered in the initial impact. They are now fighting with the sworder, the bronze butt spike of their broken spears, or with their short swords, the xiphos. It is a frantic, ugly, close-quarters business of stabbing and jabbing over, under, and around the interlocking rims of the great shields. You see a man from your side thrust his sword into the groin of an enemy through a small gap at the bottom of the shield wall. You see another man reach over the top and stab downwards into the neck of his opponent. The noise is a confusing, muffled roar inside your helmet. It is the constant, grating screech of bronze on bronze as the two shield walls grind against each other. It is the splintering crack of wood as shields begin to fail under the immense pressure. And it is the sound of the men themselves, the deep, guttural, straining grunts of 1,000 men all pushing with their absolute maximum effort. A sound punctuated by the sharp, high-pitched cries of the wounded and the dying. Historians will one day debate the exact nature of this great push. Was it a continuous, grinding stalemate that could last for an hour or more? Or was it a series of short, convulsive, wave-like surges? The two lines crashing together, pushing, separating for a moment of frantic killing, and then crashing together again. You do not know the theory. You only know the reality of the immense, unending, and body-breaking strain. You are not just a pusher. You are a source of psychological pressure. You yell, you scream, you add your voice to the great, roaring war cry of your army. You are shouting encouragement to the men in front of you, and you are shouting threats and insults at the unseen enemy on the other side of the wall of shields and men. The ground beneath your feet is no longer solid earth. It is a slick, treacherous morass of mud, blood, and human viscera. You struggle to keep your footing. To fall here would be death. You would be crushed under the feet of your own comrades. Your body, just another part of the terrible, organic foundation of this struggle. Minutes stretch into an eternity. Your muscles are screaming. Your lungs are burning. A profound, deep exhaustion. A weariness beyond any you have ever known from a lifetime of farm labor begins to settle into your bones. It feels as if the two great, struggling beasts of the phalanxes will remain locked together forever. A monstrous, grinding stalemate until every man on both sides collapses from sheer effort. And then, you feel a change. It is a subtle thing at first. A slight lessening of the immense pressure from the front. A lurch. The man in front of you stumbles forward, into a space that was not there a moment before. A great, unified, triumphant roar goes up from your side of the line. The enemy is giving way. Their push has weakened. A few of their men in the front have fallen, and the line has buckled. The psychological advantage has shifted. Your own terror and exhaustion are momentarily forgotten, replaced by a surge of savage, predatory adrenaline. You have found their breaking point. You find a new reserve of strength. You put your entire being into one last. Great. Coordinated shove. You feel the enemy line give way again. More this time. You hear new sounds from their side, not the grunts of effort, but the cries of panic. The great, grinding, brutal push of shields is almost over. The stalemate is about to break, and the battle is about to enter its next, even more chaotic and far more deadly phase. The push becomes a surge. The enemy line, which was a solid wall of bronze and resolve, finally cracks. A man in their front rank stumbles, his shield dipping for a fatal second. The man behind him, pushed by his own comrades, trips over the fallen body. A hole, a single, dark and beautiful gap, opens in their formation, and your own phalanx, sensing the weakness like a predator sensing the scent of blood, pours into it. The great grinding, pushing match is over. The battle now dissolves from a contest of collective weight into a chaotic, terrifying, and deeply personal hell of individual combat. You are in the third rank, but as your line surges forward into the gap, you are suddenly, shockingly, at the front. The men who were your living shield are now fighting on either side of you. You are face to face with the enemy, close enough to see the panic in his eyes through the narrow slit of his Corinthian helmet. This is not a duel of honor, with space for elegant swordplay. You are still in a dense, crushing press of men. There is no room to swing a sword. Your only weapon is the 8-foot spear in your hands. The dory. And there are only 2 ways to use it. You can hold it overhand, your arm braced against your side, and stab downwards over the top of your shield, aiming for the enemy's exposed neck, face, or shoulders. Or you can hold it underhand, couched against your body, and thrust forward, under your shield, aiming for his groin or his thighs. Hoplite combat is a sophisticated martial art. It primarily involves standing very close to another man and trying to poke him in the face with a long stick before he pokes you in the face with his long stick. There's a lot of nuance. The man in front of you is a Theban. You can tell by the club of Heracles painted on his shield. He thrusts at you. His spear point a flicker of dark iron. You catch the blow on your own great aspis. The impact a jarring shock that runs up your entire arm. The sound of his spearhead scraping against your bronze shield facing is a sound like the world tearing. Before he can recover his spear, you make your own move. You see a small gap between the top of his shield and the bottom of his helmet. You do not think your body, trained for this moment for years, reacts. You thrust your own spear forward and down, a short, brutal, piston-like jab. Putting all the weight of your body behind it, you feel a strange, soft, and terrible resistance as the iron spearhead punches through the linen and leather of his neck guard and sinks into the flesh of his throat. His eyes, visible for a moment through his helmet, go wide with a look of pure, final surprise. A dark, wet, red flower blooms around the shaft of your spear. You have killed a man. There is no glory in it. There is no triumph. There is only a sickening, visceral reality. His body goes limp, and his weight slumps against your spear, making it difficult to pull free. He is a dead weight, an obstacle. You must wrench your spear back, pulling it free with a wet, sucking sound, so you can face the next man who is already pushing forward to take his place. The chaos is absolute. Your helmet, which was already a prison of sensory deprivation, is now a living nightmare. Your vision is a narrow, tunnel-like blur of enemy shields, of jabbing spear points, of the contorted, sweating faces of men screaming in rage and in pain. The noise is a muffled, deafening roar of screams, of battle cries, of the splintering of wood, and of the horrible, wet, percussive thud of iron hitting flesh and bone. Your spear, your great dory, is a clumsy, unwieldy weapon in this close press. The man in front of you, a great, bearded giant, brings his own shield up and smashes it against the shaft of your spear. You hear a loud crack, and your 8-foot spear is suddenly a 4-foot broken stick. It is useless. You drop the broken shaft, you draw your secondary weapon, the Xiphos. From its sheath at your side, it is a short, leaf-shaped sword, designed for stabbing and cutting in close quarters. But even with this shorter weapon, there is barely room to move, to swing. You are not just fighting the enemy in front of you. You are fighting the pressure of your own army from behind. The rear ranks, who cannot see the chaos at the front, are still doing their job. They are still pushing a great, irresistible wave of human flesh. Trying to drive your line forward, you feel their shields in your back, propelling you forward into the meat grinder. You have to be careful that in the crush, you are not accidentally impaled by the spear of the over-eager man behind you. You're in the middle of a swirling, chaotic melee. It's an exciting opportunity to test your skills and courage. It's also an excellent opportunity to be accidentally stabbed by the guy behind you. You see your neighbor, Lycomedes the potter, go down. An enemy spear finds a gap under his shield, and he collapses with a quiet grunt, his legs buckling. He disappears under the feet of the churning mass of men. There is no time to help him, no time to even register his death. You must simply step into his space, your shield locking with the man next to you to close the gap in the wall. To falter is to die. Historians will one day debate where the most killing in a battle like this actually happened. Did it happen in this brutal, grinding, face-to-face scrum? Or did it happen later? After one side broke and fled, the evidence from the few skeletons found from these battles, with their terrible wounds to the face and the legs, suggests that this hell of stabbing over the shield rim was a very deadly business indeed. The fight wears on. A timeless, breathless eternity of terror and adrenaline. You are no longer a farmer. You are an animal, a creature of pure instinctual violence. Your entire being focused on the simple goal of staying alive for one more second. You push with your shield, you stab with your sword, you block a blow, you see an opening, you take it, and then you feel a change in the pressure. The resistance from the enemy line in front of you seems to lessen. The men you are fighting are no longer pressing forward with the same ferocity. Their eyes, visible through their helmets, are no longer filled with rage. They are filled with a new emotion panic. A man in their ranks, a man you cannot see, has decided he has had enough. He has broken. He has thrown down his heavy shield, the ultimate act of cowardice. And he is trying to flee, and his panic is a contagious disease. The man next to him sees him run, and he too turns to flee. The will of the enemy phalanx, the collective courage that held them together, is shattering. The organized, face-to-face combat is over. The great, brutal, and most bloody phase of the battle is about to begin. The rout has started. The line breaks. It happens in an instant. A catastrophic failure of courage. A man in the enemy's front rank, his nerves shattered by the relentless, grinding pressure of your shield wall, throws down his heavy aspis and turns to flee. His panic is a disease, and it spreads like a plague through the ranks around him. The man next to him sees him run, and he too turns. Then another, and another. The great, solid, and disciplined Theban phalanx, which a moment ago was a wall of terrifying resolve, dissolves into a terrified, disorganized mob of individual men, all possessed by a single, overriding, animal instinct to run. The entire nature of the battle changes in a heartbeat. The brutal, claustrophobic pushing match is over. The cautious, close-quarter stabbing is over. The desperate struggle for survival has been replaced by something else entirely. A hunt, a great savage. Triumphant roar erupts from your own line. The fear and the exhaustion you felt just moments ago are washed away in a hot, red tide of adrenaline and predatory bloodlust. The men around you are no longer your nervous, frightened neighbors. They are a pack of wolves that has just scented the blood of a broken herd. Your phalanx, which was a disciplined, defensive wall, now surges forward, breaking its own cohesion. Each man an individual hunter seeking his prey. You move forward with them. The man who was your opponent, the one you were locked in a life or death struggle with, is now just a fleeing, vulnerable target. He has thrown away his great, heavy shield to run faster. A final, desperate act of self-preservation that is also the ultimate admission of his disgrace. His back is now completely unprotected. You are a farmer. You are a man of peace, but in this moment, you are a killer. You run him down. He is slow and clumsy in his heavy bronze greaves. You are also slow and clumsy, but you are not running in terror. You are running with the terrible, exhilarating energy of the victor. You do not need to be fast, you only need to be faster than him. You close the distance. He glances back over his shoulder, his eyes wide with a pure, final terror behind the slits of his helmet. You do not hesitate. You do not think. You simply act. You lower your spear and you drive it, with all your remaining strength, into the center of his unprotected back. The iron spearhead punches through his linen tunic and his flesh with a sickening, wet crunch. He lets out a single choked cry and pitches forward into the dust. You pull your spear free and you move on, looking for your next target. Looking. This is the route. And this, you now know, is where the real killing in a Greek battle happens. It is not in the fair fight of the shield wall, where the casualties might be relatively light. It is here, in the merciless pursuit of a broken and fleeing enemy, that the battle becomes a slaughter. It's a fun post-game activity where the winning team gets to chase the losing team and stab them in the back. Sportsmanship is a little different here. The field behind the broken enemy line becomes a killing ground. You and your comrades run through the scattered, fleeing enemy, cutting them down from behind. There is no honor in this work. There is no chivalry. It is a simple, brutal, and efficient business of butchery. A man stumbles, and he is swarmed by 3 of your fellow citizens, their spears and swords rising and falling. Another man, cornered, throws down his sword and begs for his life. He is shown no mercy, but you know that victory and defeat in these battles are separated by the thinnest of margins, by the courage or the cowardice of a handful of men. And as you run, a cold thought flashes through your mind, a nightmare vision of what this moment would feel like from the other side. You can almost feel it, the terror of being in the breaking line, the sudden, overwhelming instinct to flee. An instinct so powerful it erases all thought of honor, of duty, of your comrades, the desperate, clumsy act of unstrapping your heavy shield and throwing it to the ground, abandoning the symbol of your citizenship, the tool that has protected you because its weight is now a death sentence. And then the running, the blind, panicked flight. Your lungs are burning, your heavy armor a leaden weight on your exhausted limbs. And you can hear them behind you. You can hear the thud of their running feet. They're triumphant. Terrifying war cries, but you do not dare to look back. You just run, praying to the gods that you will be one of the lucky ones, that their spear will find another man's back before it finds yours. It is the terror of the hunted animal. A fear so pure and so absolute it is unlike any other. You shake the vision from your head and return to the reality of your own victory. The pursuit is not endless. You are a hoplite, not a cavalryman. You are weighed down by your own 70 pounds of bronze and wood. After a few hundred yards of this bloody work, your own exhaustion reasserts itself. The pursuit falters. The surviving enemy soldiers, those who were fast enough or lucky enough to escape the initial slaughter, have scattered and disappeared into the surrounding countryside. A horn sounds from your own battle line. It is the signal to rally, to reform the ranks. The hunt is over. You slowly, wearily, walk back to your city's position, leaning on your long spear. The adrenaline begins to fade, and a deep, profound, and nauseating exhaustion takes its place. Your body is trembling with the aftershocks of the fight. The battlefield is now a different, quieter, but even more horrifying place. The ground is littered with the dead and the dying, and you notice that the vast majority of the bodies, the ones lying in great, bloody heaps, are from the enemy's side. Their backs filled with the wounds of the pursuit. Historians will one day debate the exact nature of this phase of the battle. They will question how long and how far the pursuit could have been sustained by men in such heavy armor. But the conclusion will be inescapable. The rout was a one-sided massacre, the most lethal and most terrible secret of ancient Greek warfare. You stand on the now quiet field, your breath coming in ragged gasps inside your stuffy, blood-spattered helmet. You are a victor. You have survived. You look down at your own hands, at the simple, calloused hands of a farmer. They are now the hands of a killer who has slain men in the heat of a fair fight, and the hands of a butcher who has cut down a fleeing, helpless enemy from behind. The battle is over. And now, the grim, quiet, and terrible work of accounting for the cost is about to begin. The rout is over. The last of the fleeing enemy has either escaped into the hills or has been cut down from behind. A great horn blast from your general echoes across the valley, the signal to rally. The chaotic, adrenaline-fueled hunt comes to an end. Slowly, in small, exhausted groups, you and the other men of your victorious army begin to walk back to the position where your battle line first formed. What feels like a lifetime ago The red mist of battle, the savage bloodlust of the pursuit, begins to recede. And as it does, a profound, bone-deep, and almost paralytic exhaustion takes its place. Your body feels like a single, massive bruise. Your armor, which felt weightless in the heat of the charge, is now an impossibly heavy burden. And the roaring in your ears is replaced by a new sound, the high, thin, and terrible sound of hundreds of men moaning and crying out in pain. The battle is over. The grim accounting of the aftermath is about to begin. You reach the main body of your army, and you finally allow yourself to remove your helmet. The first breath of cool, fresh air is a miracle, but it is not clean. The air is now thick with the smell of dust, of sweat, and of the coppery, cloying scent of fresh blood. Your first urgent task is not to celebrate your victory. It is to find the wounded. You search for the men of your company, your neighbors. You are looking for Damon and Lycomedes and the others you stood with in the shield wall. You find Damon, the farmer, sitting on the ground, his face pale, a deep gash in his thigh where a sword found a gap between his greave and his breastplate. You find Lycomedes, the potter, being helped by two other men, his left arm hanging limp and useless, clearly broken in the great push of shields. You have no professional medics, no field hospital. You are the doctor. The army has a highly advanced medical system. If you get stabbed, your friend who is a potter will pour some wine on it and wrap it with a piece of his shirt. The survival rates are variable. You help carry Damon to the hastily established camp. The treatment is a brutal and simple affair. You take your water skin, which is filled with wine. Not water, for this very purpose. Wine, you know, is good for cleaning wounds. You pour the sharp, stinging liquid directly into his open gash. He screams, a raw, guttural sound of pure agony. Then you take a strip of clean linen, torn from your own tunic, and you bind the wound as tightly as you can to staunch the bleeding. That is all you can do. There is no stitching, no surgery. His survival is now in the hands of the gods, and of chance. You know that the greatest danger is not the wound itself, but the fever that may come in a few days' time, the sign of a festering infection that will almost certainly kill him. While some of you tend to the wounded, others are given a different, even grimmer task, under a flag of truce. You must return to the battlefield to collect your dead. You walk out onto the churned-up, blood-soaked ground. It is a landscape of profound horror, littered with the bodies of men and horses. You must walk among them, turning each body over, looking at the dead. Frozen faces, searching for your friends, your kinsmen. You find a man from your village, a boy you grew up with. He lies on his back, his eyes open and staring blankly at the sky, his chest pierced by a spear. You and another man lift his body. It is a heavy, awkward, and terribly limp weight. You carry him back to your camp, a slow, solemn procession of grief. You do this again and again, until all of your cities fallen have been accounted for. But you treat the enemy dead with no such reverence. Your victory has earned you the spoils of war, and the most valuable spoils on any hoplite battlefield are the arms and armor of the fallen enemy. You go from one enemy corpse to another and you strip them. It is a ghoulish, practical business. You unbuckle a fine bronze breastplate from a dead Theban captain. You take a beautifully crafted helmet, its horsehair crest stained with blood. You pry a sword from the cold, stiff fingers of a dead man. The great thing about winning is that you get to go through the pockets of the dead guys. Their armor is now your armor. This bronze panoply is a treasure. It represents a vast fortune. It will be taken back to your city in triumph. The finest pieces will be displayed in the temples as an offering of thanks to the gods for your victory. The rest will be used to equip new hoplites in your city's army when the dead have been accounted for and the spoils have been gathered. One final ritual must be performed at the very spot on the battlefield where the enemy's line first broke. You and the others erect a tropaeon, a trophy. This is an obscure but deeply important custom. You take a tree trunk, or simply a wooden frame, and you dress it in the captured armor of the enemy commander. You place his helmet on top. You hang his shield from the arm. You drape his fine cloak over it. It creates a crude, grim, and powerful effigy of a defeated warrior. This is a monument to your victory, a sacred offering to the gods of battle. It will be left here to rot, a warning to all who pass of your city's power and piety. Historians will one day debate the meaning of these battlefield rituals. Was the solemn truce to collect the dead a sign of a shared Greek culture? A civilized rule of war, or was the brutal stripping of the enemy corpses a sign of the deep othering and hatred that existed between the city-states? The reality you are living is that it was both. You honor your own dead as brothers. You treat the enemy dead as objects, as resources to be plundered. The sun is beginning to set. The battlefield is quiet now, save for the low moans of the men you could not rescue. The men who will die during the night. The grim accounting is done. The adrenaline of the battle and the bloody work of the pursuit have long since faded. You are left with a feeling of profound, hollowed-out exhaustion, a weariness that is not just of the body, but of the soul. You look around at your own army. The ranks are thinner now. You see the empty spaces where your dead comrades once stood. You see the haunted, 1,000-yard stares on the faces of the survivors. You see the growing lines of wounded men, groaning in the makeshift camp. You have won a great victory. You have defended your city's honor. But as you stand there, on the edge of that field of slaughter, the smell of blood thick in the air, you begin to understand, for the first time, the true, terrible, and inescapable price of that victory. The great, roaring beast of the battle has finally fallen silent. The pursuit is over. The last of the fleeing enemy has either been cut down or has vanished into the hills. A horn sounds, the signal to rally, slowly in small, exhausted groups. You and the other men of your victorious army walk back to the field where the battle was decided. The hot, savage adrenaline of the fight and the chase begins to recede. And in its place, a profound, bone-deep exhaustion settles over you. Your armor, which felt weightless in the heat of combat, now feels like an impossibly heavy leaden shell. Your body is a symphony of aches, bruises, and small, unnoticed cuts. The roar of the battle is replaced by a new, more terrible sound, the low, constant, and deeply human moaning of the wounded. The battle is won, but the grim, silent, and bloody work of the aftermath is about to begin. You finally allow yourself to remove your heavy, claustrophobic helmet. The first breath of cool air is a gift from the gods, but it is not clean. The air is now thick with the smell of dust, of sweat, and the rich, coppery, cloying scent of blood. Your first duty is not to celebrate, but to account for the cost. You must find your own. You walk the churned-up, blood-soaked field, your eyes scanning for the familiar faces of the men from your company, your neighbors. You are looking for the living first. You find your neighbor Damon, the farmer, sitting on the ground, his face pale as death, a deep, ragged gash in his thigh where a sword found a gap in his armor. You and another man help him to his feet, his arm draped over your shoulders, and you half carry, half drag him back to the hastily established camp. You are not a doctor. There are no professional medics in your army. You are simply a comrade, and you do what you can. The army has a highly advanced medical system. If you get stabbed, your friend who is a potter will pour some wine on it and wrap it with a piece of his shirt. The survival rates are variable. You lay Damon down, you take your water skin, which you have filled with wine for this very purpose, and you pour the sharp, stinging liquid into his open wound to clean it. He cries out, a raw, guttural sound of pure agony. You then take a strip of clean linen, torn from your own tunic, and you bind the wound as tightly as possible. That is the extent of your medical knowledge. You have stopped the bleeding. Now his survival is in the hands of the gods, and his own strength to fight off the inevitable fever that will come from the festering wound. While some of you tend to the wounded, others are tasked with the even grimmer job of collecting the dead. A truce has been agreed upon with the enemy. This is a sacred custom of Greek warfare. The victors will always allow the vanquished to collect their fallen. And to dishonor this tradition would be an act of profound impiety that could anger the gods. You walk back out onto the field of slaughter. You must now go from body to body, looking at the dead, frozen faces of men you have known your entire life. You find Lycomedes, the potter, his body pierced by a dozen spear thrusts. You find a young boy, not yet 20, who was fighting his first battle. You and another man lift their bodies, a heavy, awkward, and terribly final weight. You carry them back to the camp, a slow, solemn procession of grief. But you do not treat the enemy dead with this same reverence. Your victory has earned you the spoils of war, and the most valuable spoils are the bronze panoplies of the fallen enemy. You go from one Theban corpse to another and you strip them of their armor. It is a ghoulish and practical business. You unbuckle a fine breastplate from a dead warrior. You take his helmet, his greaves, his sword. This captured armor, a treasure of immense value, will be taken back to your city. The finest pieces will be hung in the temples as a dedication to the gods of your city, an offering of thanks for your victory. The great thing about winning is that you get to go through the pockets of the dead guys. Their armor is now your armor. It's the ultimate recycling program. When the spoils have been gathered and the dead have been accounted for, one final ritual of victory must be performed, at the spot on the field where the enemy line first broke. You and the other soldiers erect a tropeion, a trophy. This is an obscure but deeply important custom. You take a tree trunk, or a simple wooden frame, and you dress it in the captured armor of the defeated enemy commander. You place his helmet on top and hang his shield from the crosspiece. It is a crude, grim, and powerful effigy of a defeated foe, a kind of military scarecrow. It is a monument to your victory, and a sacred offering to the gods. It will be left here to rot, a silent warning to all who pass this way of your city's martial power. Historians will one day debate the meaning of these rituals. Was the solemn truce to collect the dead a sign of a shared Hellenic identity? A civilized rule of war that even bitter enemies respected? And was the brutal stripping of the enemy dead a contradiction of that? A sign of the deep-seated hatred that existed between the city-states? The reality you are living is that both are true. You honor your own dead as brothers who have fallen in a noble cause. You treat the enemy dead as objects, their armor a resource to be plundered, their bodies an obstacle to be cleared. The sun is beginning to set. The long, terrible day is almost over. The battlefield is quiet now, save for the low moans of the wounded. The adrenaline of the fight is long gone, replaced by a profound, hollowed-out exhaustion that is as much of the soul as it is of the body. You have survived. You have won. But you look around at the bloody aftermath. You see the empty spaces in the ranks of your own company. You see the faces of your comrades, etched with grief and shock. And you stand there, on the edge of the field of slaughter, the smell of blood thick in the air, and you begin to understand, for the first time, the true, terrible, and inescapable price of your city's glorious victory. The battle is over. The grim accounting of the dead and the wounded is complete. The victory trophy, a grim scarecrow of captured bronze, stands as a silent testament to your city's triumph on the now empty battlefield. The short, brutal campaign has ended. The army is disbanded. It is time to go home. The march back is a different journey from the one you took just a few weeks ago. The mood is not one of tense, patriotic fervor. It is a quiet, somber, and weary relief. The ranks of your company are thinner. You look at the empty spaces where men you knew once walked, You march alongside your neighbor, Damon, who now leans heavily on a crude crutch, his leg bound in a dirty linen bandage. You are the lucky ones. You are the survivors. You arrive back at your city. Your polis. You are greeted as a hero. The citizens who stayed behind, the old men, the women, the children, line the streets to cheer your return. They throw flowers. They sing songs of victory. The captured enemy armor is paraded through the streets and taken to the temples to be dedicated to the gods. The generals make grand speeches in the assembly, praising your courage, your strength, and your devotion to the city. You stand in the cheering crowd, your own family weeping with joy and relief to see you alive. But you feel a strange sense of detachment, of distance. They are cheering for a glorious, clean, and heroic victory. But you were there. You have seen what this victory actually cost. You have seen the mud, and the blood, and the terror. You have seen your friend Lycomedes, the potter, trampled into the earth. You have seen the look in the eyes of the man you killed. There is a vast, unbridgeable chasm between their celebration and your memory, and you feel a profound and lonely silence in the midst of their joyous noise. You return to your small farm in the hills outside the city. You perform the rituals of your return. Before you can enter your home and embrace your family properly, you must first go to a small, local shrine by the river. Here, you must undergo a ritual of purification. You have shed blood, you have taken lives, and in the eyes of the gods, your soul is now stained with a kind of spiritual pollution, a miasma. A priest sprinkles you with clean water, recites a prayer, and declares you cleansed, fit to re-enter the world of the living, the world of peace. But as you walk away from the shrine, you know that no ritual can truly wash away what you have seen and what you have done. You go home. You take off your heavy bronze panoply for what you hope is the last time. You clean it, oil it, and wrap it in linen. And you place it back in the great wooden chest. You put away your spear and your sword. You take off the sandals of a soldier. And you once again feel the familiar, soft earth of your own fields beneath your bare feet. You pick up your hoe. You are a farmer again. You are expected to return to your old life, to your old self, as if nothing has happened. But you have been changed. You have brought the war home with you, and it now lives inside your own head. These are the unseen wounds, the terrible secrets that you will carry with you for the rest of your life. Your sleep is no longer peaceful. It is a battlefield of nightmares that you find yourself back in the terrible. Crushing press of the isthmos, the push of shields, the feeling of suffocation, the terror. You see the face of the Theban you killed, his eyes wide with surprise, a moment that replays itself over and over in the darkness. You awaken with a cry, your heart pounding, your body slick with a cold sweat. You are no longer at ease in the quiet of your own valley. You are jumpy, hyper-vigilant. A dog barking in the distance sounds like a war cry. The sudden clang of a dropped cooking pot in your own home sounds like the clash of a sword on a shield. And it makes you flinch. You find yourself constantly scanning the peaceful hillsides, looking for the glint of an enemy spear, looking for a threat that is no longer there. You find it hard to connect with your family, their concerns, the small, gentle dramas of daily life, a goat that has gone missing. A leaking roof seemed trivial, meaningless, a world away from the life and death struggle you have just endured. You become quiet, withdrawn, prone to long periods of silent, brooding melancholy. Sometimes, a sudden, inexplicable rage will boil up inside you, and you will lash out at your wife or your children for the smallest of reasons. An anger whose true source is buried deep in the trauma of the battle. This is your new reality. The ancient writers of your world, the great tragedians, understood this. They wrote of the heroes who returned from the Trojan War, men who were haunted and broken by what they had seen and done. Historians will one day give this condition a clinical name: post-traumatic stress disorder. You only know that you have left a part of yourself on that battlefield, and that a part of the battlefield has come home with you and taken up residence in your soul. Your society, the very culture that sent you to war, has no way to help you. There is no language for your suffering. You are expected to be a hero, to be a stoic, brave warrior, to speak of your fear, of your nightmares, of your sadness, would be a sign of weakness, of an unmanly character. And so you suffer in a profound and isolating silence. You stand in your vineyard in the late afternoon. The work of the harvest is at hand. The sun is warm on your back. The world is at peace. It is a perfect, beautiful moment. But you look down at your own hands, the hands of a farmer, as you gently pluck a bunch of ripe grapes from the vine, and you can still feel the memory of the weight of your spear in them. You can still feel the phantom sensation of it striking home. You look out across your peaceful valley, towards the distant line of mountains that separates your city from the one you have just defeated. And you are no longer there. You are back on that dusty, bloody field. You have returned to your farm, but the battlefield will never truly leave you. You were a farmer who was forced to become a soldier, and you have learned the final, terrible secret of Greek warfare that once you have been both. You can never again be just one, and so the citizen soldier is left to live out his days in the quiet, haunted peace of his own land. Let us leave him there, in his sun-drenched field, and let the image of ancient Greece, with its glorious ideals and its brutal realities, begin to fade. The sound of the clashing shields, the cries of the battlefield, the quiet, unseen wounds of the survivor, let them all recede into the deep. Silent pages of the past. His war is over, and your day is done. Bring your awareness back to the here and now, to the profound and absolute safety of your own bed. Feel the comfort of the darkness, the gentle weight of your blanket. The battles of the ancient world are just stories, echoes in a distant hall. You are in a place of peace, a place where the only duty is to rest. The stories of the past, of the burdens that ordinary people were forced to carry, can serve as a quiet reminder of the peace we so often take for granted. You are not a soldier who must carry the weight of war home with you. You are a person, at the end of a normal day, who has earned the right to a quiet and untroubled sleep. Let go of the story. Let go of the day's own small battles, and allow your mind to be still, and to drift into a deep, healing, and truly peaceful rest.